Hi, everyone. Come along with us on a fun and fascinating Rhodes Scholar safari taken in Kenya and Tanzania during the month of May. We began a day before the Rhodes Scholar portion commenced by touring the Nairobi National Park in Kenya. There, a major highlight was seeing white rhinos. Then we jaunted south to Amboseli National Park, taking in views of massive Mount Kilimanjaro. After that, we crossed the border into Arusha, Tanzania, visiting some energetic and charming students at a primary school. Next, it was on to the Ngorongoro Conservation Area and the village of Mtu The Olduvai Gorge, site of many of the Leakey family's discoveries that changed many concepts of human evolution, followed. Another highlight was the famous Serengeti National Park with its vastly diverse stock of wildlife. Further to the west, at Speke Bay on Lake Victoria, we were ferried by canoe to a fishing village and consulted with a tribal medicine man. Lastly, we flew to the Maasai Mara National Reserve in Kenya. Two bonuses there were the adrenaline rush of watching a cheetah chase a gazelle, plus visiting an authentic Maasai village to learn of their ways. Throughout it all, we were expertly guided by Eddie Ongori, who possesses an encyclopedic knowledge of all things safari, as well as giving us timely and prudent advice on safety and seeing details that could easily be overlooked. So let's hop into our land cruisers and go! And go we did, on what were frequently very bumpy roads, often prompting us to tightly hang on to the hand grips. As a result of all that vigorous shaking, our pedometers also humorously registered high values. If only they really counted as exercise. There were other highway challenges, such as blockading cattle herds on the road. This goat herd is on a steep cliff adjacent to a highway. Another group blithely crosses without looking both ways. Eddie makes a joke about no roadkill being allowed for lunch.
We can knock one down for lunch.
Herds of migrating wildebeests often would just cut across our path, and we certainly yielded right of way for strolling families of elephants. How about these lions lying in the middle of the road? We're not about to holler at them to get out of the way. Sometimes the roads were a bit flooded, but our drivers and cruisers were up for the challenge. Sometimes the roads were quite flooded, but our drivers usually still managed to splash through. A few rickety wooden bridges proved a little disturbing to pass over, especially considering that elephants can use them and they don't worry about weight limits. The safari vehicles got quite dirty after a long day of travel on these roads, but by the time of the early morning game drives, our cheerful and expert drivers always had them gleaming and clean inside and out. Let's take a look back at the inviting national park entrances we passed through, starting with Nairobi National Park, just south of Kenya's capital city. From inside the park, we had impressive views of both the skyline and the wild animals. Here's Tanzania's world-famous Serengeti National Park. Kenya's Amboseli National Park, with its enormous elephant herds. The Ngorongoro Conservation Area in Tanzania. And the Maasai Mara National Reserve back in Kenya. Notice the warning sign at Amboseli's Kimana Gate entrance. There's a good reason for it. And here it is. Hyenas, Cape buffalo, and elephants freely roam about. While we certainly were delighted to see them, we and the guides have every reason for great caution. This is their territory. It's like being in the reverse of a zoo, with us on the inside. And don't forget the huge, toothy, hungry feline carnivores meandering throughout the parks. The area geology also is remarkable, such as this enormous stratified boulder in the Serengeti and the Kopi formations.
Myself, I scared to live here.
What?
I scared.
Because the rocks can fall down.
Oh. Here's a taste of some of the beautiful cloudscapes and sunsets that we saw on our trip. This is at Speke Bay on Lake Victoria. On the lake, the stars shone brightly at night, and on the horizon, you could see the fish luring lights of the boats that we'll talk about later. Now, let's get back on the road and start touring. We begin with a visit to the National Museums of Kenya in Nairobi. Its exhibits are fundamental to understanding the educational sweep and scope of the safari. Cultural artifacts and art of historical importance are on display, as are items of paleontological significance, such as these over 1-million-year-old hominid skulls and skeletons found in places like the Olduvai Gorge. Exhibits of the astonishing variety of birds, including these kingfishers that we are destined to encounter, and the megafauna that come to life on the safari. The museum also has an extensive reptile exhibit of live snakes. Vipers of all kinds are safely kept in cages. For instance, this green mamba, which is extremely poisonous. Or this snake chomping down on a lizard for its meal. And look, our first leopard. Well, leopard tortoise, that is. Some of us get to hold the enormous creature. Later on in Arusha, at our Planet Lodge Hotel, we see another one on the grounds. And then, in the Serengeti, we discover yet another leopard tortoise slowly moving. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Kenyans and Tanzanians get around a lot on motorcycles. Passengers can be 1, 2, or even 3 to a bike. It's amazing that we didn't see anyone falling off, especially since many riders don't wear helmets. These cycles are on the road rain or shine because many of them are equipped with extended umbrella covers. Not only are they used for getting around, but also for moving heavy loads as if they were cargo trucks. Even bicyclists transport oversized loads, as do three-wheeler tuk-tuks like this one carrying a load of sugarcane. How does this bicyclist manage his enormous load of bananas? On the M2 Embu banana plantation, somehow this man skillfully hauls a wide load on this bumpy dirt road, and yet stays upright. This guy clings on for dear life, for a bus ride. He must be determined to reach his destination, dead or alive. But the most incredible sight we saw on 2 wheels was this couch on a motorcycle. How did he manage to stay balanced? When you don't have wheels to help you move things around, a level head and a strong spine is the way to go. Look at some of these things that people are carrying on their noggins. Nearly everywhere we travel.
Matata. Jambo Kenya. Hakuna matata. Jambo Kenya. Hakuna matata.
Don't whatever you do,
don't drop that. Good.
Of course, one of the major reasons we came to Kenya and Tanzania is the great variety, accessibility, and abundance of wildlife. It ranges from rather large, intimidating spiders, insects like this 5-inch long millipede, to multicolored lizards and birds, such as the small lilac-breasted roller eating a cricket. Then there are huge birds, such as ostriches and storks. Representing the smaller mammals, in Nairobi National Park are cute and small rock hyraxes, which look a bit like rotund tailless prairie dogs. Along some of the highways are these warning signs. The reason? Antelopes frequent the area and, like some of the domesticated herds, don't care about right-of-way rules of the road. For example, near a road, these young buck impalas are play fighting, although later on in their lives this practice becomes deadly serious for mating purposes. There's a great variety of antelopes. They range from this tiny 6 to 13-pound dik-dik, like this one in the grass, to mid-sized Thompsons and Grant's gazelles, to the bigger water buck, weighing up to 580 pounds. This large antelope is called a hartebeest because its horns somewhat resemble a stylized heart. The topi is also called the blue jeans antelope due to the colors on its hindquarters. We learn more about the elands from one of our driver guides.
Unlike other antelopes, they are the most slowest. They can only manage speeds of up to 25 kilometers per hour.
Continuing up the scale to the largest mammals in the area, there's no mistaking the huge white rhinos roaming the fields of Nairobi National Park. Then there's the real king of the jungle, the East African elephant. This one kind of gives us a friendly wave with his trunk. However, its cousin in the Serengeti isn't so comfortable with us. He stops in his tracks, tusks pointing straight at us, flapping ears spread wide, and tail rapidly swinging. After a bit of tension, we parted ways peacefully. More on him later. Here's an example of the great diversity of wildlife. Zebras, cranes, elephants, and egrets peaceably mingle at Amboseli National Park. On this day, a full moon makes a glorious daytime appearance at that park. The world's tallest species, giraffes, come out to take stock of the situation from their high vantage point. Several oxpeckers fly onto their necks to eat what parasites they can, which benefits giraffes' grooming and health needs. That last giraffe and this one are males. Can you tell the difference between males and females? The males have got bald spots on the tops of their thicker horns or ossicles, while the females have got hairy tufts on their thinner, more svelte horns. Well, that figures. But, like us, they love to constantly eat. We stopped off at the Giraffe Center in Nairobi to learn more about the endangered Rothschild giraffe. With bowls of nutritious kibble to hand feed them, we vastly enjoyed the experience, although we had to do this rather cautiously from a platform. The center takes care of 10 of these endangered giraffes. Each one has a personal name.
Oh, they will. Yeah, they do.
This one for Kelly's 23. Ed might look big, but because it's a male, he's only 12 years.
While the giraffes freely roam on the center's grounds, we cannot. You can rent rooms in an on-campus hotel and be their captives. It's time for one last chance to pet a friendly giraffe and say goodbye before we head south to Amboseli and great views of Mount Kilimanjaro. Kilimanjaro is a dormant volcano in Tanzania. Kibo is the tallest of its three peaks, standing 19,341 feet above sea level. To its left is craggy Mwensi Peak at 16,893 feet. On this dreamy morning, elephants peacefully graze in the Amboseli savanna beneath the peaks. But for smaller residents of the parks, things are not so serene and easy. For instance, this large pride is prowling for food, despite being flanked by numerous cheap-rep tourists. Fortunately, we aren't on the menu. This scarred and lacerated male lion heads back to the scene of a recent kill for a mid-morning snack. Using his powerful jaws, he pulls the remains so he can continue feeding.
Okay.
Male lions are often embattled. This one had much of his tail bitten off in a fight. But what's this? Lions in a tree, taking it easy? Indeed. There they are, snoozing away, probably right after recently filling their bellies, so we can closely approach without fear of them joining our jeep. But the hindquarters of this animal dangling in these branches indicates a leopard might be nearby. Yep, there he is, having dragged it up the tree by his jaws. That's how strong this feline is. After feeding, he's taking a rest before going back for seconds. It's neither a dog nor fox, but a similar canid, known as a black-backed jackal. These creatures are omnivorous and tend to be scavengers.
Black-backed jackal. Shakal.
Another proficient carrion scavenger is the hyena. Eddie talks about what hyenas anatomically have in common with wildebeest.
Their front legs are taller than the hind legs.
The spotted hyena is a pack animal with jaws that have a mighty biting force that exceeds even that of the leopard. This cheetah recently made a kill, but is on guard, wary of the encroaching hyena pack that may tear his hard-won food away from him. Fortunately, he's downwind of the hyenas. They don't notice him or his kill, so he's able to continue to crunch away at will. These two cheetahs use a fallen tree as a vantage point so they can spot prey.
Oh, they're so beautiful.
At Maasai Mara Reserve, another cheetah is at ground level but isn't having any luck hunting, so he takes a break. These two cheetah brothers must be having the same misfortune. One comically scratches his back. That feels better. But then, excitement is in the air. A buck gazelle has been spotted by a cheetah, and a race ensues. The gazelle gets to live another day. Back at Amboseli in the afternoon, a clan of elephant families gradually and calmly makes their way to a marsh. Led by the matriarchs, they walk this round-trip commute every day. This elephant, who is close to our Serengeti Nayona Maru camp, really wants to get at those moist higher leaves. He attempts to knock down the tree to do so.
He's trying to push the tree down.
Being unsuccessful, he turns his attention to us as we casually observe him from the confines of our jeep. But we are unwelcome. As we saw earlier, he flaps his ears and displays other signs of concern. After a few moments, He dismisses us as non-threatening and moves away.
All the way to the camp, especially when it's dry. He breaks the pipes and gets water.
What are all those dots on the horizon? Why, it's thousands of wildebeests in the early stages of their annual migration. Some playfully race as fast as they can with each other. One takes time to scratch, while another has different ideas but is rebuffed. It's not uncommon for them to mingle with zebras. Some of this is done for their mutual protection from predators. Back among the greater herd, the call of the wildebeests is unmistakable. Egrets get free rides on their backs. The zebras themselves avoid predators by resting their heads on each other's backs so they can look in different directions at the same time. Lined up like this, their stripes create a confusing camouflage as well. Our driver guide explains.
First of all, to avoid predator. The second, watch my back, I watch your back. The second, they have very heavy head. So they put to each other as like a pillow.
And cue the entrance of the warthogs, or in Swahili, pumbas. They've been wallowing in mud holes. Like so many of the other animals here, they warily graze, always looking out for danger. Cape buffalo are notoriously unpredictable and unfriendly. One of these Cape buffalo has found a unique way to stay out of the sun. The egrets really enjoy getting rides on the backs of these huge beasts, whether they're Cape buffalo or elephants.
Right along, aren't they?
So these elephants here, every morning they go back here. In the evening, they are going back home.
Far in the distance and straining the limits of our lenses, we're excited to see a family of endangered black rhinos on this grassy plain in the Ngorongoro crater. Black rhinos can weigh over 3,000 pounds. The species dates back over 50 million years. Since they were much closer to our cameras when we were in Nairobi National Park, let's take another and longer look at those white rhinos that we saw for comparison. They are larger, weighing up to 5,000 pounds, which is slightly less than the biggest elephants and more than hippos. It's time for some bird watching. This lioness comes across crested golden gray cranes, but neither seems to have an interest in the other. The crane was one of the most remarkable birds we saw. Very tall, long-legged, and having those golden feathers at the crest of its head. Here's a shot of one of them elegantly flying away over a herd of Thompson's gazelles. In this thorny bush is a pair of lilac-breasted rollers. They're gorgeous birds with 8 colors of feathers. Another bird with colorful plumage is the superb starling. One of these two has caught an insect and refuses to share. The secretary bird has unforgettable plumage. Its striking head adornment once reminded observers of secretaries carrying quill pens. It resembles raptors, such as eagles, because of its beak and fondness for snake steaks. We'll take some time for quiet bird watching. High in a tree, a martial eagle plucks and eviscerates a francolin. Removing the feathers and tearing it apart, it eats the juicy remainders. A little gruesome, but that's the way of hungry nature.
Yeah.
Enjoy a sumptuous meal.
Oh, right.
Oh, he got something. He got something.
Staring at us in the Serengeti is a falcon-like white irised bird of prey, the greater kestrel.
The white ones are juvenile.
It's flamingos' time. They're all over Ngorongoro and other parks. Pretty in pink, the birds flock in huge numbers. A few of them gracefully fly over the waterways. Here are more alluring avians. Outside of one of the park entrances, a family of baboons, sadly, tears into some plastic waste. The family plays, with a youngster grabbing onto its mother as tightly as possible. One quickly leaps out of a tree. Look out below! Vervet monkeys were in one of our camps. With the quickness of cats, they take agile, great leaps, balancing with their long tails. At that rickety wooden bridge in Serengeti, there are 4 of them in a tree. On the other, not so quick hand, here are some lumbering hippos in front of our Naona Maru camp tents near the Talek River. These guys are soaking in the water, taking it easy on a sunny day. As is this crocodile on the opposite shore from our tent. Early one morning at the camp, balloonists flying over the river got a chance to see some great views of the hippos below. Their propane gas flames snorted as loudly as the hippos. During our 2 weeks on safari, we only got a small glimpse of the cultural diversity of the two nations. From the modernity and wealth of Nairobi to some extremely impoverished villages, such as in M2 wa Embu, we had a taste of the economic disparity. Previously, we saw how extensively motorcycles are used. Three-wheeler tuk-tuks are another abundant form of transport. Joining them on the roads are gaudily painted and individualized buses like this one. Vendors hustle their wares in the streets and at numerous roadside stands. Butcher shops seem to be everywhere. This man is hawking water and slingshots. Wait, slingshots? Yes. For instance, they were used at Camp Kulima Lodge, where we stayed near Amboseli. Group leader Eddie elaborates on the practice of using slingshots to keep dangerous and annoying creatures away from us.
The villagers, because around this area we have snakes, so they will use the slingshots.
Just chase the snake. So to hit a snake with a rock?
With a rock, you hit the snake, the head, it is dead.
And if you don't get it in the head, it's going to be very annoying to you. If you miss it. If you miss it.
Moving away from these street-side produce stands, at the Ngorongoro Serena Lodge on the crater's rim, we were treated to an acrobatic show with all kinds of different human-based stands agilely presented, such as this head-to-head stand from a seated position, then a head-to-head stand from a standing pose, thigh stand, and all kinds of combination stands. Okay, that was entertaining. From our Speke Bay Lodge, we boarded canoes for a ride to a fishing village, home of the Sakuma tribe. Paddlers smoothly shuttled us there in about 15 minutes. Early that morning, fishermen had brought their overnight catch to market. Guide John holds up a catfish and explains the importance of fishing to this village.
90% of the people from this village depend on fishing. And find that most of the people, when they live here, and they depend on fishing. It's a predator fish. Eat the other small fishes. You find that some of the small fishes are now disappearing because of the Nile perch. Because it's a predator.
As is the case with so many outside markets, there seems to be a little bit of everything to sell. While the men have completed the overnight fishing, and many now are taking a break, everyone else seems to pitch in with the fish sorting and prepping for sale elsewhere.
Jumbo.
That also includes cleaning up the nets and bailing out the fishing boats. No doubt the shorebirds are looking for their chance to get some of the scraps too. We're walking through the village on the way to meet a local entrepreneur, learn more about how the night fishing is done, and visit a medicine man.
You see the light that they use for fishing. You see? They put on top of the water, it floats. So they put light on top of the water, floating. Then the fishes come up to the light. Then the fishermen put the net surrounding the light. Then the scoop of fish, they put them on a boat. Then they bring them in the market here to sell.
Hakuna matata. Bye bye. Karibu Tanzania. Kwaheri.
Kwaheri.
It's clear who's in charge here. The kids are leading us through the village, pointing the way. We're taken to meet 74-year-old Rhoda, who roasts and packages peanuts for a living. Here we find her and a fellow villager playing a typical bow or board game with seeds. This game resembles Mancala. Rhoda is victorious. She proudly shows us her mud and stick house, where she does some of the work with her peanut packaging industry. Rhoda's saving her money to build a more sturdy home. We get a chance to sample her tasty product. Behind her, under construction, is her new home. It may take a few more years, but she's doggedly determined to build it. Continuing our walking tour, we pass the village shops of a local seamstress and one for computers. Then we head uphill to visit the tribal medicine man. The belief is that illness is a result of social or spiritual imbalances. Herbal remedies are often prescribed to correct those imbalances.
Traditional medicine, and the trade was passed over to him, to the grandfather. So today he's going to show us how he does his trade.
What is his name?
Kurwa. Kurwa from the plant. So where eventually it is going to be this. Actually, the one is ponding is this one. This is for the stomach. He will pond it until he gets this.
Okay.
Yeah. So the trade will not be done outside here. It will be somewhere inside there.
Before entering his hut, we must remove our shoes. He explains the tools of his trade, many of which are jewelry passed down from his ancestors.
By the grandfather. So he passed on everything. So those are this. At times he will wear them.
Hizi pete ni mizimu yangu na yenyewe alikuwa anavaa bibi yangu.
Kila moja ina maana gani?
Kila moja. Hii ni pete ya kulinda.
That is protection. That ring for his protection.
Hii ni pete ya kuota.
That is for dreams.
Unaota dawa. Hii ni pete ya kumwota mtu anakuja unamwangalia usiku.
That is when you are dreaming of somebody coming at night.
Hii ni pete ya safari nikitaka kuamka inaniambia.
When he is leaving for safari, that is the ring. So each ring will have, and the last one he was given by the grandmother, the first one.
After diagnosing what could be ailing one of our friends, a prescription is given.
Yeah, for 3 days. You use it 3 consecutive days, then after that, you're done.
Are these methods believable? They are for some. In gratitude for getting a perceived healing cure for a chronic illness, a prior patient gifted him with a car. Back in the village, the children show us their counting skills in the sand. We head back to the Speke Bay Lodge, rhythmically serenaded by our oarsmen. Located in the Great Rift Valley, Olduvai Gorge is famous for the paleontological discoveries of Lewis and Mary Leakey and their family in the 1950s and 60s. Many ancient hominids were found here. First, we look over one of the geosites, which now is a red sandstone monolith. Later on, we take a drive down into one of the first digs. Our guide explains the various dig locations.
2 million to like 1.3 million years ago. So on that hard part going top, that is geological bed 2. And in the corner, they have discovered the Achurian stone tools in geological bed 2. So there are different sites. That one is another site, and in the corner there is a Achurian site. So from here, there are like different division of layers.
The museum has a tremendous collection of million-plus-year-old skeletons, including skulls, and tools of all kinds from that period. Not just hominids, but also prehistoric animals such as this ancestor of the African buffalo. This is Martin, a leader of the Tanzanian Iraqw tribe. He grows a delectable grade of coffee and shows us how it is roasted and ground. Later, he explains how to make a corn beer called Busa. But first, a lesson in tribal pronunciations.
About the surname of the Iraqw tribe. Yeah, my tribe called name is Iraqw, and some of the name of the Iraqw tribes, the Qarai, Huanga, Aresi, Amat, Amara, Adwe, Nunqa. So this is the name of the people of the Iraqw tribe. So before missionaries not yet come to Tanganyika, so we use the local name. It's like a Tuwai, Awaki, Da'ati, Boi, Nunuqa, Sa'a.
Tribal member Victoria displays an elaborate, beautifully beaded goatskin wedding skirt. Eddie explains the tradition behind it.
These were symbols of teaching the young ladies. They are the sun, they are the tree. You see the tree? Yes. It symbolizes that let your family grow like the branches of the tree. We are the mountains, so telling you mountains will never meet. Then we had this. What is this? What is that? Who can guess?
Looks like roofs.
Snake.
The mountain range you were talking about?
Okay, this is a teaching that marriage is never straight. It has ups and downs.
Yeah. Ups and downs.
And this is the flag of Tanzania.
Oh.
They have white, peace, tranquility, green, the land, yellow, the minerals, black, the people, blue, the water.
Stacy and Barb get a chance to model them. Here's Martin's demonstration of how the coffee is hand-roasted over coals for 45 minutes.
So this is coffee Arabica, which they grow.
The roasted beans are then poured out over a screen and sifted. Then they can either be ground with a pestle or stones. As you see, it's a laborious process.
Before we don't have our grinding machine.
Cheers! The final product is sampled and deemed excellent.
The corn beer.
Now we get a demonstration of how to make corn beer.
Okay, what you do first? Use sorghum or use millet. So the millet, you will mill it and get the flour from the millet. Yeah. Then after you mill the sprout millet or sorghum, what is going to happen now with this, you are going to mix it in a pot.
After roasting and fermenting millet and corn, it's coarsely filtered before we sample it. Busa. Martin again explains the symbols on souvenirs of the wedding goat skins.
Is the river full for ups and downs? Marriage is not going straight, it's full for ups and downs. And here is the markings or tattoo, like this you see here, like X, like 1, 2, 3. And this is the grinding stone. That grinding stone we're using the grinding coffee or corn. And here is the calabash. This calabash that before we're using drink the water, drink the milk and everything. And here is the clay pot that before Mama Africa mix water, finger millet and corn from the fermentation, this one. The national flag of Tanzania. National flag of Tanzania have a 4 color, Blue color is color of water. Yellow is minerals. Black color is the African countries. But in green is the vegetation, like Ngorongoro Conservation Area or Manyara National Parks.
M2 Embu is described as a bustling village, but we start out at an impoverished section within it that has a rice farming operation.
All of the cattle, they can eat the bananas, they can eat the rice, so it can be a big conflict.
Sadly, some of the work seems to be done by children rather than their attending school. The village indeed is ramshackle and dilapidated in many areas. Several buildings are constructed of cow dung, mud, and sticks with roofs of banana bark. Some of the huts only have cardboard for walls and very well-worn furniture. Upgrading the buildings can take years and years depending upon earnings. Even so, the villagers are determined to build stronger and sturdier structures, including houses, to improve their lives. Adjacent to the rice field, Eddie discusses the fever tree and the previously mistaken belief it caused malaria.
So in their mind, they thought that the malaria came from the tree. They never knew that there were mosquitoes around there. So they named it the fever tree. And it is very sweet. People eat it. This is why animals like elephants like the bark in the tree. You see the wax is all over.
Additionally, we learn about the pencil euphorbia plant.
And mostly people use them on the edges as fences to demarcate their land. You see the white sap? You can use it for making medicine for burns. You can use it for making glue. Must be very careful that it doesn't drop in your eye. It will blind you completely.
Continuing, we hear about the banana plantation and brewing banana beer and wine.
When you want to ferment your banana beer, you sprout your millet. You soak it in water for 3 days, it will sprout. Automatically, when it sprouts, it becomes yeast.
Our local guide, Umi, describes the brewery and the process.
After finishing this, they're going to filter this. You see the bourbon flour is already fermented.
She opens a bottle of banana wine, then gives us samples of it and of the banana beer.
And that is good. And in Africa, we say you will get drunk.
We can put them?
Sure.
Okay.
I think we say that too.
And you can taste and tell me the difference between the wine and the banana. Yeah.
All your issues. We drink from the same cup.
And this banana beer is special for the people who are coming from Kilimanjaro.
The Chaga tribe.
The Chaga tribe. Yeah.
Without banana beer, you will not get a wife.
Yes. Without the banana beer, even as the people who introduced this banana beer in Mtoamu.
The Chaga people.
Down the hatch.
No chemicals. So you have a lot of nutrients from the millet and the banana.
Thank you.
Okay, Maddie. Over the lips and through the gums. Look out stomach. Here it comes. Do it.
In Swahili, when we are tossing, we say maisha marefu. Maisha marefu, meaning long life. Maisha marefu. Maisha marefu.
Well, the beer is okay, but we'll stick with a safari lager. Could any safari to Kenya and Tanzania be complete without discussing the Maasai people? We had the privilege of visiting a tribe. Some of them fiercely cling to their traditional pastoral and somewhat nomadic ways. They are herders of goats and cattle and keenly know about predators. Because of that, some are hired as security guards at the lodges for their skills in chasing away encroaching animals from guests and their tents. At the Ngorongoro Serena Lodge, we view a Maasai dance show. That was fun, but at an actual Maasai village in Kenya, near the Maasai Mara Reserve, we learn more details about their culture. Tribal leader Kapu tells us about it.
So you guys, you are allowed to take photo much as one, and more question, you are free to ask more question much as one, and we are going to see the houses inside. Our house is made by cow dung, grass and cow dung, and make sure tall people, they are going to rent to see inside the house. We are different mama, one papa, different mama. Okay. You know, for us, we are polygamy. You can marry more than 5 wives, so that's why you can have more brothers.
Yes.
More brothers, more sisters. So this is my younger brother from another mama. So in the village we live like 60 people out of 3 families. Out of the 3 families, we do welcoming people and we show them more activity about our culture. We show you the dance for the ladies, also for the men, and how we make fire with the 2 special wood. For us, we don't have matchbox. No matchbox, but we are going to see our matchbox.
They welcome us with their greeting dance and invite us to participate. First the Maasai men dance, and then later the women.
So this is a welcoming dance for you. Like if you're interested to join them,
Now that we're warmed up, we are led into the village itself, using the same dancing steps. The Maasai men show off their jumping skills in a dance called Alumu, which shows their maturity and strength and attracts women. The higher they jump, the more appealing they are to the ladies. The colorfully dressed women perform their own dance and once again invite us to participate. We get the matchless fire-making demonstration.
Nice.
Elephant dung is used for kindling.
Oh, yeah.
The men wear predominantly black and red robes, the color red signifying courage, bravery, and strength. They also wear colorful belts and carry mid-length swords. After all, there are lions out there to defend against. They hospitably allow us to tour one of their small houses, or bomas.
The material for the Maasai house is grass, leaves, cow dung, and some branches of trees. The Maasai house normally takes 2 months to be constructed. 2 months and lasts for 9 to 10 years.
That construction style doesn't make for good airflow. It's hot in there. Remember, Leader Kapu did say the entrances were small. And of course, before we leave, the women of the village display their arts and crafts on blankets for us to admire and purchase. They use a traditional system of negotiation. We make offers on these unpriced items, which are relayed by their men to the women in Swahili. This back-and-forth haggling results in a deal or no deal. Lastly, in our segment on culture, we are visiting a primary school near Arusha, Tanzania. Rhodes Scholar and we have made donations to improve the facilities for these children. Some of the classrooms have about 100 students in them, which is somewhat lower than the 150 per room from a few years ago, prior to donations for constructing more space. We are enthusiastically welcomed by the kids.
Greetings from America.
Jumbo again.
Jumbo.
Welcome to Matim Primary School, which is a public or government school.
Eddie explains the agenda and introduces us to the school leaders.
See these beautiful faces. Nehema.
Hello, Nehema. Jumbo.
She's the deputy head teacher or principal. Then we have Anna. Hello,
Anna. Primary school is a government school. So we have the number of the pupils here. You can see it is 1,516 children. We have kindergarten, and from there we can go to grade 1 up to grade 7. You can see that in grade 4 they can sit on national exam to go to grade 5, and in grade 7 they can sit the national exam to go to secondary school. 3 kilometers
up to 5
up to
kilometers.
5.
How long is the school there?
What time do they come to school?
We have the time for starting period for in the classes. We are starting at 8 up to 2.
Then we go to a classroom to experience a joyful mingling with the students. A few bravely stand up and introduce themselves with what they hope they can accomplish in life.
My mother's name is Martha. One day I want to be a tour guide.
Okay, so what is the capital of Tanzania?
He's right. We are then treated to a couple of songs. Our visit closes with a wonderful song of farewell from the students. It was unabashedly a glamping trip. The dining experience, both in the bush and the cities, nicely lived up to that standard. Tasty chef-prepared buffets for breakfast and dinner energized us for the long drives. At Nayona Maru, a goat was purchased, slaughtered, and roasted for a special meal.
Okay. So this is a roast goat, goat stew. Roast potatoes, chapati, mixed vegetable stew, polenta ugali, avocado salad, dessert, the fruits.
Okay, perfect.
Yep. So the plates are there.
To partake in a Tanzanian multi-course lunch, we gladly walked a little distance, passing a herd of cattle on a sidewalk in M2 wa Embu. The meal came with a lively floor show.
Jambo bwana, habari gani?
How are you?
Nzuri sana.
Good.
Wageni tawakaribisha Tanzania yetu, hakuna matata.
To our country. Pilau is not the brown rice, but mixed with spices like a cinnamon, cardamom, onion, and
Cloves.
changing the color to becoming brown. Yeah. And we have this cooking bananas mixed with beef.
Okay.
Yeah. And this one beef stew mixed with potatoes,
Tell Maddie her
okra,
lens cap.
and beta tomatoes. And this is eggplant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, our aubergine.
Aubergine.
Yes. Pancake.
Chapati.
Chapati. Local spinach. But the pumpkin leaves. Do you remember I showed you the pumpkin leaves?
Yes.
Yeah, it's this one.
Okay.
Soya beans.
Okay.
Yeah. These are the sardines coming from Lake Victoria, not here in our village. Yes. Sardines. Sweet potatoes. Cabbage. So, do you remember the banana which I show you to the road? I said when it's ripe, it's a sweet banana.
Yeah.
And when it's green, we used to make a soup with a beef. This are the sweet banana. And very, very sweet. These are green banana, but we fry it and becoming like this. Polenta. Polenta is tasteless. So we can mix with, we can
Any sauce.
use with any sauce here.
Yes.
Yeah, and giving the taste. Cassava. Yeah,
Cassava.
yummy.
Starchy.
Corn mixed with soya beans.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Chili.
Hot.
Hot spice.
All right, now
So
you're talking.
first you can taste.
The dishes went down easily and were followed by more dancing. Oh, and we won't forget the grand desserts throughout. Yum! The word safari translates to journey. And this one was strikingly fascinating, enticing, and educational. Here are a few highlights. Jumbo and Maisha Marifu, everyone. Beautiful Kenya.
Beautiful Africa. Beautiful Africa. We shall never forget. Beautiful Africa.
Maryland, Maryland will win. Go Terps!
Everybody, Jambo, Jambo.